What's going on, everybody? Sorry if some of y'all got a notification for live and there wasn't one. I don't know what's happening. Um, it's a miracle I even made it here tonight in the first place. Give me just a minute. I'm going to go ahead and get this shared out to the different places, mainly the rotting cesspool that is Twitter. And okay, I just did my twit. And for those who come in afterwards, y'all know usually about the minute and a half, 2, 3 minute mark, we're usually going good and getting into everything. So let's work on that. All right, guys. So tonight we have a good show in store. I have Toolman55 on with me, and super excited about that. We will get to his introduction in just a second. Some of the things we're going to cover tonight are, of course, in the title and description, but we are covering everything from Diablo to Street Fighter 6, Square Enix stuff, because what would one of my shows be without something related to Square Enix? It's kind of a necessity at this point because I am a shill and I can't help myself. So, yeah, let's go ahead. Oh, and we'll be getting some of Toolman's thoughts on the PlayStation Showcase, and then we are going to wrap it up talking about the Xbox Showcase if we get to it. We might not. It's actually the final thing on the agenda for tonight. And so, yeah, let's go ahead and dive in. And with that being said, Toolman, how are you, sir?
Hey, doing good, Thrifty. How are you doing? How's everybody doing?
And I'm okay now. Guys, if y'all have children, you know that those dudes can lose anything almost with an uncanny ability. Like it disappeared into the like ethereal plane, and I lost my remote. And because I stream everything from the PS5, it doesn't really work without a remote to turn on the stupid TV. And so yeah, that's how my night's going. And Nelson Gaming, yes, that is Toolman55. So Toolman, what are you playing right now? Do you have time to play? Are you playing?
Yeah, I was just playing I was playing it for some of my, PlayStation reward program stuff, the NBA 2K. I actually started the my career thing because they had like two or three different things on there for the NBA 2K. So I loaded that up and got a reward for just playing the game, and then you had to play the my career. So I played my first match. I heard that game was pretty addictive. Some people say in that my career stuff, sort of playing through, being a rookie and working your way up to becoming like a star or whatever, getting drafted. So I don't think it's for everybody, but it was kind of interesting. So I don't know how far I'll get into it, but it was kind of cool. But playing that, I was playing some Burning Shores. I'm at the very last part of it now, finally. Haven't been playing a ton here lately. But yeah, about ready to beat the Burning Shores. Still got to do all the side stuff and everything and fly around and do all that. But I'm having fun with that too. How about yourself?
Well, I just finished Ratchet and Clank, and I have posted a review about that. Go check out that review, guys. It's one of my favorite reviews I've done, and yeah, so I've been playing that. Been playing some Diablo 2 Resurrected, uh, and I've beat the game a couple times, so I have all of the cutscenes and stuff unlocked. So that's what's actually playing through the video tonight, because people like to be able to watch stuff. So now we can watch stuff.
Oh yeah.
And
Very
I
good.
started God Eater 2, and my goodness, I hope that stupid game gets better, because the intro so far, I'm only an hour in. So far, the introduction to that game, the cinematic they play, is the best part of that game. And so it's,
Really? Hmm.
dude, it's very clunky. Like, I'm just trying to get through the stupid tutorial, and it is just clunky. Like, the controls are off. But I also beat
Hmm.
Ratchet and Clank last night, and
Oh,
so,
sweet.
dude, I didn't 100%
Congrats.
it. Thanks, man. I didn't 100% it, but it did take me about 25, 30 hours, and I got all
Hmm.
of the collectibles, and I got all of the weapons. Well, all of the weapons you can get in first run through,
Hmm.
and so there's just a few other things I'm not gonna do. Like, one of the stupid things is, hey, let's get 50 headshots, and I'm just not doing that crap. Like, I don't care enough to do it. Or like, do 10 tricks while grinding the rail. I'm like, I don't care. And so I just like, I'm an RPG guy, so I love going and getting the collectibles and stuff and doing all that. But man, anything else after that, I'm just out. Like, let
Hmm.
they don't even give you a trophy for getting all the bolts or all of the. This is a little bit of a gripe that wasn't in my video, but they don't give you a trophy for getting the bolts. They don't give you a trophy for finding all the bots, and they don't give you a trophy for getting all the Lombax lores. And so, like, that sucks to me. Like, what?
Hmm.
I just did all that work and I didn't get any trophies for it? Like, come on. And I'm
Yeah,
not I'm not even a trophy hunter.
yeah, that does kind of suck, especially if you enjoy a game and stuff you do enjoy. And yeah, I've had experiences with that in some games where you do stuff and it's like, really, you don't get a trophy for that, but you got to go and find whatever, like in Horizon Zero Dawn, when you've got to go and find all of the shooting, whatever the little horse dummies that you got to knock over. You got to knock them
Yes.
over. You don't have to shoot 'em, you got to knock them over. You got to destroy them. And there's like 25 of them. I got most of them, and then I had to look it up. I'm like, where the hell are these damn things? I'm like, I just want the damn trophy so I can get the plat. I don't care. I'm like, normally I wouldn't go running around looking for a stupid wooden horse to knock over. I mean, what am I, 12? Running around?
I mean, I will say this. There's a part of us gamers that is 12. That's why we still play games.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Right. So Josh just pointed out in chat, he said, I don't remember Rift Apart, but you got trophies for all the gold bolts in the other games. I know.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know. But unless it popped up and didn't pop up the icon or something, which would be weird, but like, I got everything. And it was pretty irritating. So you mentioned you were playing NBA 2K, which reminded me that I have to download Trek to Yomi. But like,
Mm-hmm.
so one of the topics for tonight is the PlayStation Plus Essential lineup. It
Mm-hmm.
got dog walked on Twitter by most everybody, talking about how it's an L, how it's this, how it's that. I gave my opinion last week when Thrash was on, but like,
Mm-hmm.
my opinion was it has something for your sports nuts and for the casual who might be watching the NBA finals right now. Like, okay, cool, yeah, heck yeah, I get it free, sure,
Mm-hmm.
I'll play that. Then you have something for children, which is the Jurassic World evolution game that I got to get, and then
Mm-hmm.
just know that my son will be taking over the TV for about 12 hours. And then, like, the other one was Trek to Yomi, which is something that I was really interested in, but they said it was like a 4-hour game, so I wasn't going to spend full price on it. So, like, in my opinion, it was a good lineup. What do you think?
Oh, I mean, if you're paying for a subscription anyway for your your base tier or whatever one you all have, I've got the premium myself. I just like having the options. I don't usually use any of the options, but I'll take them. It's whatever. But as far as the games, I don't see a problem with it. I was kind of wanting to play that Trek to Yomi, and I've thought about buying it here since it came out, just sort of throw in the wish list and some of them games like that, and throw in the wish list, and just I usually just wait for a lot of these things go on discount. Unless it's something that I really do want to play, then I'll buy it, when it comes out or shortly after. But 2K, yeah, I wasn't too concerned with that. My son, he was playing it, my youngest son, but he was playing the crap out of 2K on his PS5. But he's 17 now, and he's getting older, so he's not as home as much. When school just got out, so he hadn't been playing the PlayStation much here lately. He's been more going to the gym and working and all that, and being the old typical teenager. Got more important things to do than hang around home. But one of my buddies, he played that Jurassic World Evolution, either the first one or this one. He said it was okay, it was all right for like a, sim type of game to round up dinosaurs and all that. But I did write down some of these for up to the beginning of the year, and there was actually some pretty good titles. Whatever everybody wants to say about June, I thought it was pretty good. I mean, they're all PS5 games, PS4, PS5, whichever one. So it meets whoever's got either system, whether they haven't been able to get a PS5 yet, or they still have that option. But like last month, you had Meet Your Maker. I didn't really know what the hell that was. You had I wrote them down here, Tales of Iron, some kind of a indie game, and then Sackboy. So there's a first party game there. That one there, I think this month was better than April's. As far as May, you had Chivalry 2. I played that not on. I didn't play that recently, but I played that Chivalry. I didn't care for that game. Descenders, that's that whatever type of
that was the bicycling game.
Yeah, it's like more of a AA bicycle game. And that Grids Legend, I hear Grids is pretty good. I've never played Grids, but I heard it's a pretty good game.
That's what I heard too.
If you go back to March, February, and January, I went backwards and wrote this stuff down like a dork. Like I said, I told you earlier, like at work, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be on a podcast tonight. I'm going to totally dork out and write stuff down. It's like I'm 6 foot and 225. I'll beat your all's asses. I mean, butts. Sorry, that was my bad.
No, you're fine.
I know you're. Salty's like, I'm 6'3". My guy, I'll whip your butt. Okay.
So, somebody just mentioned in the chat that freaking NBA 2K is a 200 gigabyte install. Good gosh.
Yeah, I think it's. I didn't even pay attention to what it was.
The graphics aren't that good.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of them games. Whether it's a racing game or you could even classify the fighting games. They're all kind of, which we're going to kind of talk about that in one of the other titles. So I really wasn't going to get into that too much right now. But I just want to, like in March, you had Battlefield 2042. Now, the game came out buggy, but now with all the updates, I played it here recently, and it's actually pretty fun.
I played some with Salty, and I didn't hate it. Let's just... Mm-hmm. And that's coming from a person that absolutely hates games like that. I don't play them. I don't like them. I don't want them. I don't need them, and they could fall off the face of the earth, and I wouldn't bat an eye. Like, that's... I hate multiplayer shooters. I hate them. Oh, they suck.
But February was a pretty good. You got 4 games there. There's some indies. I'm not going to read through them. But January. So January you had Jedi Fallen Order that they gave us. So if you didn't have Jedi Fallen Order, you got Jedi. I mean that was a good gift there in January, and even December of 2022, they gave you the whole Mass Effect Legendary Edition, Biomutant, and then that DKO, that Divine Knockout. I could care less about that one.
So could everybody else that's probably about to die. Like,
but listen, the Mass Effect
Biomutant, I need to give it another chance, because here's the deal. I've seen like some of the mid or the early game stuff, which is where I'm at in it, and it felt blah. But like, I've seen some other like footage of gameplay, and I'm like, man, that actually looks pretty good. Once you like, I guess maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe I'm just not in it yet. But like, it's definitely so. PS Plus Essential has essentially, wow, PS Plus Essential has essentially given us some really decent titles. And if you look at games with gold, we're automatically getting way more than games with gold. And it's, I don't know. I get tired of people looking at a subscription service when they probably already have PlayStation Plus Extra or Premium or whatever, so they get Essential regardless. Like, it's one of those things that I look at, it's kind of a crapshoot, right? Like, there's been months where I'm like, okay, cool, nothing on PlayStation is really for me this month. They've released like an indie, or I think they gave us Street Fighter V at one time. Is that where I got that from?
Yeah, I believe we did get a Street Fighter V, yeah.
I thought we got it last year, and I was like, I'm not interested. Yeah. I don't care. And then the other 2 titles where I also wasn't interested, or I'd already played them. So, like, no big deal. But, like, I also don't go nuclear on, gosh dang, how do you have a show like that and then give us blah, 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 and, like, stop. Like, it's not that serious. But, so, Street Fighter V is going to segue us into Street Fighter VI. I have heard nothing but wonderful things about Street Fighter VI, except for your competitive guys getting upset because of the modern controls, which, I'll be honest, the modern controls actually have me kind of interested in playing the game. And so Games with Gold impresses me 15 straight months. They have added titles I have never heard of in my life, and I've got 600 games, so, well, Nelson, you're easily impressed. That's about what I'll say to that. Like, the game is not buggy. If you look at the like concurrent player numbers, it's ridiculous. They doubled their concurrent player numbers on Steam, almost doubled, and it actually seems like the game is getting extremely like well received. Top sales are on PS5, secondary sales or second place is on the PC, and like every single person and their mother knows, Xbox don't buy games, so the lowest selling console or the lowest selling market is the Xbox X and S. And so like it's nice to just see a good launch from a AAA title. Like, does that does that make sense? It's nice to see a clean launch. And so what's your thoughts? I don't really play fighting games. The modern controls have me excited because like it seems like it'll take that just nasty, grindy feel away from it and kind of make it more enjoyable for somebody like me. But you said you played the demo when we were talking earlier, so what are your thoughts on it?
Oh yeah, I downloaded the demo after it came out, and I played Ryu, the guy with the beard. I played him first and fought against that Luke. And I played the 2 rounds and beat him there. Then I switched characters and I played as Luke against Ryu because I believe that's the only ones you could pick. Maybe you could pick others. I can't remember. but that's the two I played. So I didn't play it too long, but I mean, it was pretty fun. Um, I could tell that yeah, it was a little bit easier to play than what I remember, like Street Fighter 2. You know, back in the day where you had to do all the different directionals and up down, you know, square X and all that stuff, and that kind of got to be annoying back in the day, you know, trying to play all that. To me personally, but that's back when I really liked really just street, you know, racing games and fighting games was mostly what I played back then when I was younger. Um, but I think I've kind of grown out of the fighting games a little more, and I'm kind of getting into other types of games now. But as far as Street Fighter VI, the demo, no, I did have pretty good time in it. I could see, I know there's quite a bit of people out there that like having the tournaments and playing together, you know, and um, you know, uh, you know, giving each other heck and everything, you know, trying to, uh, you know, like I think old Jay Barry and Persona, they like playing the fighting games a lot and stuff, getting in there. And I'm trying to think of some of the others that play that. I think, dang it, I can't remember his name right now. But I know he's always in their chats. I can't remember his name, dang it. I forget it offhand. But I know they enjoy the fighting games, and they talk about them quite a bit. If you get over there and listen to Wups on Saturdays and stuff, I know they talk about fighting games quite a bit over there, whether it be more the Japanese fighting games or these, you know, more Americanized or whatever term you want to use for the, like Street Fighters and Mortal Kombat and all that kind of stuff, Tekken's. Um, but no, I enjoyed it. I'm probably not going to buy it anytime soon. I'll probably wait for it to go on sale to buy it, and I probably enjoy playing through it and playing the campaign and all that stuff. You know, go through the story mode and everything. As far as being competitive online, I don't think I'd be doing any of that. It just doesn't grab me like it used to, that aspect. But
Yeah, that's kind of how I am. I'm probably going to end up going into Tekken, uh, only because, and I'll probably get it on a sale because they'll throw it on sale eventually.
hmm
But one of my favorite games was Tekken 3. I
hmm
absolutely loved that freaking game.
that's the goat right there.
It really is. Like, it is the best, in my opinion, it's the best fighting game out there because that was when Mortal Kombat was like failing at every turn. And so like it really like set the stage for Tekken to kind of take that spot. And it was entertaining. It was awesome. It was at the
hmm
arcades and then you could play it at home. Like it is just, and the other thing was is each character handled differently. Like that was
hmm
something. So like you play Street Fighter and it's pretty well known that like left right kick does something,
hmm
semicircle underneath to the right and a punch button does something. Like there's pretty much standard universal things that are done, but in Tekken it was all about like knowing your player's combos, knowing his move set, knowing how he operated, like what he could do. Like who wrong, you had to know that
hmm
you could like do the 5 kick combo and then switch positions and then do a 2 kick combo while they're in the air and then hold the back button and the triangle button and it would do like an up down kick which would slam him into the ground. Like I know that because I've done that a lot. And so, but those are things you have to know. And Law handled totally different than Who Wrong did, or handled
Oh
totally
yeah.
different than Eddie. And so, like, it was it was more based off of like play style, and you could be good with anybody in that game. And so, and I know people are going to say, well, yeah, Street Fighter has that same kind of thing. I get it, but Street Fighter fell off for me after Street Fighter 2. So
hmm
we can kind of leave them in the dust. I didn't like the artwork in 4. I didn't like the art design in 5. It's a little better now in 6, but everybody's like overly swollen. Does that make sense?
Mm.
Like
Oh
they're all
yeah.
just massive individuals, and in the original games they weren't. Like they were martial artists. They were fighters, and
Hmm.
like that's what I don't know. That's what I liked about it. Now they look almost superhuman.
Hmm. Yeah, they do. I mean, they're all so massive and everything and stuff. But it's kind of cool. I mean, it's still going to appeal to a small portion of gamers out there. It's just a niche type of thing that pretty much just the hardcore. The casuals. Some casuals like it, but it's more for just a specific group of people that like that kind of stuff, like that competitive edge and stuff. Um, but I think it's cool that they are opening up and um, putting a new vision on, a new spin on it. They got this open world, semi-open world, whatever it is, that you can run around in whatever kind of story mode thing. It kind of reminded me just of this 2K My Career mode. It would seem like the same thing, kind of sort of the same kind of thing there. But Street Fighter was never my favorite. I know who said it here. I think it was RP. He said that Mortal Kombat was his favorite fighting games, and I'd have to say that was a really close second. Because I grew up on the Mortal Kombat games when they came out. I was there right there at the end of high school when those things came out, and yeah, Mortal Kombats were cool. Probably the first three when they started doing all of these later ones where they started doing all the big fatalities and ripping people apart. I'd kind of gotten out of it and then started seeing it again. I was like, really, what? The kids were younger. I was like, what is this? And,
One of them had a pretty fun RPG mode, or maybe it was one of the games that
mm,
like it was like you'd go around this town and I don't remember. All I remember was that it was like you were in a third person view and you'd go around the town and then you'd have your normal type of fights and it was really cool. Uh, Shaolin Monks, there we go.
mm-hmm,
It was janky as all heck looking back on it now. I was watching a Game Ranks video and they were talking about some of the previous installments or no, Gaming Bolt. And they were talking about the previous installments of Mortal Kombat, and they brought that one up, and I was like, man, that game was fun. And then I looked at the footage of it, and I was like, that game is terrible.
mm-hmm.
Like, how did I think this was awesome? But it's because it
Yeah.
combined two things that I love. I love the RPG setting, and I really enjoyed the characters in Mortal Kombat. But
Mm-hmm.
like, I don't know. It's one of those things where I don't know if I will ever be able to dive back into fighting games or if they'll ever kind of capture that magic again. And, with that, we're going to use magic as kind of a segue into a game where you
Mm-hmm.
cast a ton of magic. You can
Mm-hmm.
use it to resurrect people. You can use it to cast Nova Blast. You can use it to cast Blizzard. You can use it as a druid to summon animals or to turn into one. Like, all that type of stuff. So, obviously, I'm talking about Diablo 4. I've kind of made my peace with I'm not getting it right now, and I'm okay with that because I just want to play. I just want to play it for the story. I don't really want to do competitive, and I'm not spending $70 for an 11-hour story. And so, like
Mm-hmm.
that aside, though, Diablo is actually kind of killing it right now. Like it's nuts. It's the smoothest Blizzard launch I have ever seen, and I mean ever. It's there was a hiccup at the beginning and it lasted for
Mm-hmm.
like 45 minutes and that was only on the PS5 and it was only because Sony's licensing stuff. Like
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't really a game problem. It was that during the pre-play or whatever it's called, the early access, it was like done. And hey, sorry for the first hour. it's good now. And then everything was fixed, and people have been playing it. People have been nonstop playing it. People have been doing just amazing things. Um, it is the best-selling Blizzard title on Xbox, which I love it when companies do stuff like that and say stuff like that, because I'm always wondering, hey, can you give us a number so we can either be impressed or go, dang, they ain't bought shit ever. Like, you know what I mean? Like, because
Right.
if you're gonna give us a number, you can easily give us like, hey, it sold 100,000 units or 1 million units in its first few days on the Xbox, largest Blizzard
Hmm.
launch ever. Cool. But like when you don't give the number, it sounds like that number is only going to be about a couple 100,000. Like
Hmm.
it just does. But I could be wrong. That's just what I notice in business a lot is when they omit something, but there's like trying to make hyperbole, it sounds it always means something fishy, right? It's like there's a comedian that said, 2/3 of all, or no, 1/3 of all babies are Asian, which technically means, or could mean, that if my wife and I have a third child, that baby has a good chance of coming out Asian because 1 in 3 babies are Asian. It's just a way that you can take and manipulate stats to mean whatever the heck you want. Like, it's, and so I think companies do that a lot of times when best selling, or like TV shows do it all the time. Number one comedy show on Wednesdays. Uh, oh, okay. There's no other comedies on Wednesdays. That doesn't
Right.
matter. Shut up. Like, so like companies do that crap all the time. Uh, and so it makes me wonder, like, what's that number? So bashing Xbox aside, and assuming that
Mhm.
they didn't actually buy that many copies of it, the game is doing amazing, and it's it's one of those things that it makes me happy because I love the franchise, but I
Mhm.
also part of me wishes the thing just would have like collapsed. So, what's your thoughts on it? Are you playing? Have you played Diablo 4?
No, I have not. So real quick, what is your favorite thing about? I mean, the whole Diablo series. I think you said Diablo 2. I think that's probably a lot of people's. That's your favorite one out of the series, or is it three
No, it's
or
actually number one.
number one?
Um, I
I mean,
love the simplicity of number one.
but just Diablo in general, the franchise. I mean, what draws you in? What makes you like it so much?
So the story is actually really cool. There's books that go with the story,
Hmm.
uh, and like actually like novels, and so that's really cool. I
Hmm.
love the character of Deckard Cain. Uh, I spent a ton of time in the first game. Um, Beat the first one with every character on Nightmare except the Wizard because, well, anybody who played the Wizard on D1 knows that the Wizard was really squishy. And so if you didn't have help, you would die. Um, I love the story.
Hmm.
I didn't get to play Diablo 2, and that sent me on a rabbit hole of other titles in kind of this genre. And after that, Diablo 3 came out, and I played Diablo 3, beat it with two characters, and it didn't really have the replay value that I was looking for in Diablo. And so then, of course, we all know that Diablo 2 Resurrected came out. And
Hmm.
it's Diablo 2 Resurrected was always the game that I was ticked off that I couldn't play. And it was always the game that, like, whenever I thought about buying a laptop or a computer or PC or whatever, I know I just named three things that are all the same, but like, whenever I used to think about buying one, it was always, oh, can it play Diablo 2? No, it can't. It's just for Office. Crap. Okay. And so I never played it. Well, Resurrected came out, and in Resurrected, they retconned and fixed some of the story hiccups from 1 and 2. And so now I have the complete lore of Diablo. And now we get Lilith. And Lilith
Mm-hmm.
has only been mentioned in, I think, Diablo 2 in one of the tombs and in the books, if I'm not mistaken. So she's like a fresh character, and it's a new hell to battle. And I don't know, man. I love the game. The loot systems are always really good. The combat's always fun. It's very engaging. It never D3 did, but like D2 never really breaks your like gaming concentration, if that makes sense. Like there's no
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
other than going to town, there's really nothing that is going to break like what's going on. And I used to, when on D2 Resurrected came out, I would sit and then look up and it's been 4 hours and I'm like, holy
Mm-hmm.
crap. I didn't realize that all that stuff that I did took 4 hours. Like, I think Salty and I played a few weeks back, and we played for probably 2 hours, and we didn't get anything accomplished. Like, we
Mm-hmm.
we did nothing. So it's just a great franchise, and it's a great series that you can lose yourself in. And the story is really good. The artwork is great.
Mm-hmm.
They literally built an entire lore, and so on some level, I absolutely love that when companies keep a lore and keep it going, and like D4 isn't a reboot or anything like that. And the fact that it launched well from a company that I have zero faith in anything that they do, like that to me is almost enough to get me to purchase the game. But it's still it's still just the story for me. So like I don't I'm not going to sit and put 120 200 hours into this game for a couple of reasons. But the main one being that even if I do that, I'm not going to be able to compete or be competitive with other folks who have put thousands of hours in.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I don't know. That's just my thought. Are you planning on picking it up?
No, probably not. I've never played a Diablo game. I've never really had an interest or desire to play one. Seeing this, I mean, it's cool that, you know, uh, kind of like anything in gaming. I mean, this RTS type of stuff. I don't know if you can consider this RTS, or well, it's not really RTS, is it? But it's got that top-down look to it, or whatever. I've just never really cared for any of those kind of games. Um, so no, I know when it came out, when everybody pre-ordered it, and then the people there were able to play it 4 days early. I remember hearing here over the last couple of days that some people were kind of irritated because they couldn't what was it, they couldn't squad up and play together. There was some kind of glitch in the whatever it was, licensing or something where it wouldn't let them group up together. Like they could, I don't know if it was something about they could give out a code to bring a friend in to try it, or whatever it was. Something was messing up, and I think they got it fixed now. But even with all that, it being the fastest selling game to date for Blizzard, that's pretty cool. If you like Blizzard's games, I don't really play any of the Blizzard games. The Hearthstone. My oldest son, he used to play that a lot. He would play that on his PC, playing those games, but and Dota 2 and all that. But I'd walk in and watch him playing it, and I'd just be like, "This is fun to you?" Oh yeah." I'm like, okay, but it doesn't do nothing for me. But people like it. Like you said, there's some people that's going to put thousands and thousands of hours into this, and more power to them. I've got thousands and thousands of hours in Destiny 2, which makes you cringe, but to each his own. I over the last, really over the last 2 or 3 years, I've kind of died off from Destiny. I've really, I said this before when I was on here earlier. I'm really trying to broaden my horizons. And some of my friends, they always talked about being a gamer. I'd be like, "What are you talking about being a gamer?" I go, "You got Destiny. That's all you need. That's all you need. You don't need anything else. Just play Destiny." And they kind of laugh. But now that I've sort of pulled myself away from that, and getting into this, being quote unquote a gamer. That yeah, I mean, being a gamer, this takes a lot of your time. And I don't think a lot of people realize, especially in these big open world games, Horizon, for example. That's some that I've actually completed. How mentally draining, or like The Last of Us. When I played that probably 2 years ago, I played Last of Us remake, not the remake, but The Last of Us remastered for the first time, and it took me a while to get into that. But I mean, after I got into that story and I finished it, it was like a mental drain. Same way with God of War 2018. I did that in that same year too. It was like a mental drain. It was like I just needed to get away from gaming for a day or two, and I was just like, it was just that emotional thing. And and I hear about people playing all these games, and maybe I'm getting off topic here, but I'm going to go ahead and do this real quick anyway. I hear people talking about playing all this stuff, and I'm like, you got to be careful. I mean, playing all this, or you hear people say, well, I'm playing 4 or 5 games at once. I'm like, okay, that's cool and everything, but but everybody's different. Some people, that stuff don't affect them or whatever. But I know when I play games like that, something that's got a real deep story that you're involved in, and um, I've got to take like a day or two, or play something a lot lighter, like just something that you don't have to think about. Just go play a Battlefield or a Call of Duty, or something like that. Go play a few rounds of that or whatever. I won't jump in Crucible and Destiny. I'll just start swearing. A bunch of hackers. It's, but yeah.
So I'm actually one of those guys. I'm actually one of those guys that does play, like, because of the channel, I'm one of those guys that has to play several titles at once. But I also kind of have mine set up in such a way that's like, I kind of schedule out my gaming week because I have to.
Oh, yeah.
But before, I would only play one game and I'd play it to completion. And I think that's what bothers me about live service titles, is that there is no completion. There's no, oh, I'm finally done. It's like doesn't exist. And so does that make sense? Like,
mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, like I say, everybody's different. I remember, being younger and playing these games, and you play through, but the games were a lot smaller back then, and if you played through a game, when you're younger, your attention span's, not that big anyway. So I wasn't one to sit there for 6 to 8 hours playing the video game. I was outside, I was inside, I was playing with the friends, I was, it was out in the creek trying to catch something or whatever. So I wasn't always just inside playing the video games and stuff, but it's something I did, for fun. I really didn't do that when I was younger. It really wasn't till really didn't get into them probably till 7th grade, I think. We really didn't have the money to get that stuff. I remember back then that, even just getting like movies and stuff like that was a luxury, back then. I think a lot of people can relate to that, like, Friday nights, mom and dad would get food or whatever, and, get a couple movies to watch or something for all the kids and everything, and, that was something you look forward to, and then later on when, I think it was about 7th grade when the Atari had been out for a while, and we'd got an Atari. I think it was 2600. It was one that had like the wood grain face on it or on the sides, whichever one that was. I think it was 2600.
The wood grain.
I
like it.
I remember playing that one. That was really the first one. Then, getting into the NES. I don't know how we got onto gaming history, but whatever.
Because Diablo. That's what happens when
yeah.
you talk about Diablo. You have to bring in gaming history. Speaking of that a little bit, we have, and this is something that I don't think enough people are talking about. This year, we have 3 games coming out, or 2 that have come out, and 1 more that is coming out, that literally defined and set up and made genres. Like, we have Final Fantasy XVI, we have, Diablo, and then we also had Zelda. And you can even go a step further. We've had the Resident Evil 4 remake. And we've had Street Fighter coming out as well. So, like, this year has been a really cool year for gaming, in my opinion, because we have so many amazing, amazing titles that have come out or that are coming out that have literally defined like their own genre. There's games that used to be like Diablo-esque, right? That would be what people, hey, what kind of game is kind of Diablo-esque? Or, oh, hey, if you like Final Fantasy, this game's kind of what you're going to want to like. And so, like, just crazy this year. So let's dive into actually one of the next topics. And I just wanted to show some gameplay for this. I'm going to hop out. Let me go back to the cinematics. Okay. So, anyways, let's talk about another topic in, PlayStation is getting, their butt kicked. It was a big story a couple days ago. They have fallen from grace. It is no longer okay. The UK hates them now, and it's all over. The Nintendo Switch finally outsold PlayStation 5 for the first time in 5 months, breaking their 4-month lead. And they didn't outsell them by much, but they did outsell them. So with that, we all kind of know why. It was for the month of May. What game came out in May?
Yep, Tears of the Kingdom.
Oh, okay, cool. So, doesn't this kind of fly into the face of if we just make good games that won't sell consoles?
I mean, it does. You can look at it the way Sony's doing it, or, Sony, I don't know why I say Sony, with Sony and Nintendo. They're making the great games that people want, and they're willing to pay for it to experience that. And they'll pay it day one.
$70 freaking dollars.
And I think what did I look up on that? But I was trying to think of what I was going to say about Xbox and their, with their whole, we're talking about the PlayStation falling down because of console sales, so that great game made people that didn't have a Switch go out and buy some more Switches. That is what we're talking about, the hardware.
Yeah.
Yeah. So whether they upgraded to the OLED model, or they bought one for the first time, or they bought another one, whatever it may be, that game is what pushed it for them to buy that. PlayStation does the same thing. You're seeing the PlayStation still selling now, even though it dropped here in UK out of first spot. When Spider-Man hits, which one's going to be number one in the UK? I mean, it's going to be the PS5.
So, you have Spider-Man, and what about June? Like, we have.
Yeah, I was gonna say, when Final Fantasy 16 hits on the 22nd, what is the report for June going to look like when you get to August or to July? Yeah, it's going to be PS5s on top again. And it's just like Phil said in that interview. It was kind of funny that he, their mindset is they really don't care about the hardware. And that sucks for you think of the hardcore people. You think of like Salty's in the chat right now. What's up, Salty? To the others that used to be a hardcore Xbox guy, Jez, Salty, Mooch, Crap, MBG, that finally got fed up, finally got tired of, being lied to, being told to wait. But the people that are still over there, they're still holding out. They're like, no, it's about here, it's about here. And it's been, for some 3 years, for some 5 years, some 7 years, some it's just going on and on and on. And they are holding out like, no, it's this year. Every E3 time or game awards time, this is our time, this is our time. And something inevitably happens. But their whole model of I hate that word. I hate these stupid catchphrases. I wrote them down on the back piece of paper. Some of these words that people say, they just drive me up the wall. And I'm not going to get off on them because I'll just go off on a tangent and just
like value.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I'll say there was one that started with an N. I can't for life me can't think of it. One of them that is the worst one that I hate that I hear is ecosystem. It drives me up the wall. These are words that, okay, we use them, people use them in podcasting because it's just an easy, relatable thing for the community. That's, when you hear it over and over, it just becomes part of the conversation. I get that. But these are words that we would normally not use in our day-to-day life. Ecosystem, market cap, business model. I'm like, oh my God, are you serious? Who the hell cares about a market cap and a business model? We're playing a video game. I mean, I'm just like, oh, it just drives me up the wall. I just want to.
That is unless your game has like a market cap aspect to it that is like detrimental to my gameplay, like I don't care. Yes. So RP Gaming just said experience, and now
yes,
experience to me is different, but yes, and that's only because I use experience in my review videos, but it's different to me. But like, dude, you're so freaking right. Like, I'm so tired of marketing speak, and it's marketing speak that you can see right through. Like, anybody who's been in the corporate world has all gotten these emails that say all this bullcrap, and you're like, yeah, I don't care about your email. What's the actual point? Oh, okay, Jan's birthday is Tuesday. Awesome. Like, I don't care about being involved in the culture of the workplace. Shut up. Like,
yeah, it's like people on Twitter that spend their time talking about the ABK deal and what the CMA is talking about and about what Brad Sams is talking about and the legalities of the FTC and all this stuff. And this is what they're reporting here. And and they write up these long things. And I'm like, but you work at Hobby Lobby. What are you talking about? Where is all this coming? And nothing against anybody that works at Hobby Lobby. I'm just saying, you get the relation there. It's like, I'm like, okay, I guess if this is your hobby, you always wanted to be a lawyer. I don't know, whatever. You go right ahead. I just find it kind of funny in my way, but it's whatever.
so, like, somebody posted the other day, and we can talk about this real quick, but somebody posted the other day about that stupid deal, and they said that the CMA and the FTC, it's been reported now that there were this many conversations, and all I said was, hey, is there a link to this? I might have missed it. And nothing. Just crickets. Like, oh, but there's this damning document that proves that they said, like, where is it then? If there was actually a document, stuff would actually be, like, happening. but there's no document. Like, people just talk out of their ass, and it's bothersome.
Mm-hmm.
But so speaking of that, I was kind of tongue in cheek with the PlayStation losing market control and or losing market space in the UK. But to be quite honest, it really does just show you that I don't 7 years into the freaking life cycle of the Nintendo Switch, and new people went out and bought Switches. Old Switch users went out and upgraded their Switch to the Zelda OLED Switch,
Mm-hmm.
and like all for one game. Because
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've seen it, but there's not a lot of crap coming to Nintendo in the month of May or June that wasn't Tears of the Kingdom. So like,
Mm-hmm.
they're not buying it for any other reason. They're buying it for one game.
How many hours is it to, like, say, Breath of the Wild, to go through and complete everything in Breath of the Wild? How many hours do you think it takes? I've never played
I don't
any of them.
know.
I mean,
Like,
I've heard of people playing. I don't know if somebody in the chat. I don't know if any of you in the chat.
I know that
Josh, RP,
supposedly
Nelson.
there's a way that you can beat Tears of the Kingdom in like 90 something minutes or something like that. It's there's supposedly a way that you can beat it, and I don't remember. There was an article that I remember seeing, or a post. Somebody just could have been trolling, but like it said they beat it in 90 something minutes, and I was like, wow, okay, like
Yeah.
awesome. That's good for you. But like, it's nuts that games still sell consoles
Hmm.
even at the end of their life cycle, or what we all hope is the end of its life cycle. So speaking about games and stuff coming out, uh, I'm a huge JRPG fan. I'm a huge Square Enix fan. And
Hmm.
so Square Enix has actually given us some more info over the past week about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And
Hmm.
the info was that it's going great and they're working on a release date, which, my God, for like, I, I don't know if I can take more good releases coming out and more things coming out on schedule. Like, my gaming heart might die. I don't know what. This is crazy because Final Fantasy or Diablo 4, Final Fantasy 16, Tears of the Kingdom, or sorry, I said that wrong. Diablo 4.
Hmm.
No, that's right. Because Final Fantasy 16 is not even getting a day one patch. They said it won't need it.
Yeah,
Uh,
I read that. That's cool. I mean, yeah, they
like
they said that, what, last week? Was that last week they said that?
a couple weeks ago, yeah. Like, nuts. That's insane. And then we're looking at another game from Square Enix that they're like, yeah, we're pretty good. We're fine.
Hmm.
No, everything's going great. This is not a hey, we're delaying for a year. This is, hey, we're working on a release date. Cool.
Hmm.
That tells me that you're getting close to a finished product.
Hmm.
And so I'm beyond excited about that. But what are your thoughts? Do you think we're going to get four big AAA games that don't like come out broken this year?
That's very few and far between here anymore in the last few years. But I mean, it's not impossible to not get them with any bugs or flaws or anything day one, with no day one patch or very minimal. Um, all I can say is that people's going to be busy playing them. I mean, especially if they are like that. Now, before I told you, I've never played any Final Fantasy game. I can say that I played maybe 30 minutes to an hour of, I think it was 10 or something. One of them that's got the 10/2 something or other. I don't.
Yeah,
I
we
mean, it
don't
was one
count
of them.
10-2, but yes, go ahead.
I think it was 10/2. But I've had, because we got Final Fantasy VII as a PS Plus game when we were talking about that earlier. That was one that they gave us the remake. But I think I bought that one, and I bought the the extra story or whatever whatever that was it. That I think was $10 or something. I bought that too. But I was reading up a little bit about this, so I don't know much about this like most people do. But you got the Crisis Core that's already out that you can play, which is the prequel, right, to Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yes.
And
it's phenomenal.
And then you've got the remake, Rebirth, that's coming out, which is supposed to pick up right after the ending of Final Fantasy VII Remake. My God, this is like an Xbox title naming session here. A console session. Anyway. But like I said before, the Final Fantasy, I never played one, but Final Fantasy 16, when they showed that, what was that, 10 minutes? I think it was 10 minutes, 10, 15, 14 minutes of gameplay a month or so ago. I was blown away by that. Now I watched other JRPG type of games and stuff like that, and, that certain type of fighting style, and never been big into it, but when I seen that one, I was like, wow, that looks really good. That's pretty cool. And I told you I went ahead and pre-ordered it, so I've got it pre-ordered, the deluxe edition and digital deluxe edition. I'm all ready to go for it. But as far as the Rebirth, I remember I was looking it up today that I guess some of the developers were teasing. They would tease like little. Like it wasn't a riddle, but they were like teasing little facts or asking little questions. I think it was on Twitter. I read one of them, but they said it was kind of weird how they were doing that because it hadn't really been done before. But they said it was also pretty cool because they were kind of giving hints of little tidbits of information of kind of what the game was. I think that's what they were implying.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of cool, but that's kind of what I've got on it, Thrifty.
I'm tickled shitless, honestly, that so many people that have like messaged me and said I've never played, or I've only played one, or I've only played 7. I never really played in this or whatnot, and I've pre-ordered Final Fantasy 16 because I was always meant, I guess, to be a PlayStation gamer. And I say that kind of in jest, but PlayStation is where the best stories are. Like, I don't care what anybody else says. PlayStation games and PlayStation exclusives have the best stories. And so when a third party comes out and drops a great story game, that just fits. That's why they sell better on PlayStation. And so I cannot wait for folks to play Final Fantasy 16 for the first time as their entry point into the series and just fall in love with the lore and the world building and the set pieces. Because I know how they're going. I know how they're. I know what they're capable of. Hey, Hero's here. Sweet. Let me see this. He has a question. Question. Did you pre-order the FF16 Standard or Deluxe Edition? I'm so conflicted as to which one is the best value. Okay, so RP, we'll talk with you first. Which one did you get? Hello? Not RP.
Me?
I'm sorry, Toolman. Wow.
Oh,
I was reading RP saying Uncharted 2, and I was also trying to bring you in on this question. And my bad, man. My bad, dude.
I pre-ordered the digital deluxe edition.
The digital deluxe. Okay. I got the. I had it pre-ordered, and I've had it pre-ordered for a few months now. And when I had originally pre-ordered it, they said they didn't think that they'd be able to get me any the steelbook or the deluxe or whatnot. So I was like, okay, fine. It's a local game store here. It's actually, the guy has a YouTube channel. It's Retro Rick's Game Point. And hey, if y'all don't check his stuff out, y'all should. If y'all like any kind of retro gaming or anything like that, dude's a wizard with the stuff that he can find. But anyways, he owns the game store in my town. Uh, just bought it from the previous owners, and so I was like, okay, I want to support them. I went to college with the guy.
Mm-hmm.
He has a family. It's a local business. Like, there's a lot of stuff that I wanted to support. So, I think I told you this. It was just one of those things where, supporting local, sometimes you miss out on some of the things the bigger chains can get. Well, I went in
Mm.
there last week. Yeah, probably last week. And I talked to one of the guys and I was like, hey, is there a chance that I can upgrade this to the Steelbook and to the Deluxe? Because it comes with like a little mat, it comes with a cloth like map on it, and it comes with a Steelbook. And I'm like, yeah, that's getting hung up somewhere in my house. And so I was like, hey, can I get this? And he made a couple phone calls, called basically I guess she'd be the general manager or the manager of the store. And
Mm-hmm.
she was like, hey, let me make a call. Let me see what I can do. And she called him back and said, yes, he's early enough and we'll be able to get it for him. And so, like, they hooked me
That's
up.
cool.
I'm getting the freaking Steelbook and I cannot be like, I'm smiling from ear to ear right now because I'm so excited to get that stupid Steelbook. Like, I've never been excited about collectors anything unless it's something I can like hold in my hand, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or it's something super like old and then like the deluxe edition goes on sale for half the cost or whatnot. Uh, so Hero just said it's the map that's got me going crazy. I really want the map. He goes, F it, I'm just gonna upgrade. So like so yeah, that's the one that I have pre-ordered and I'm beyond excited
I
about
get.
it.
I guess I was looking up here, Josh. He mentioned up here earlier. I guess I don't know if I misspoke. So he says that it's not the Crisis Core is not the prequel to FF7 remake. It's the it's the whatever. It's the one before.
It's the one to just
Just the
seven.
okay. That's what he said.
Okay,
Okay.
so
Okay.
yes and no. Some of the things in remake, or hang on, let me rephrase that. The stuff that happens in Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core Reunion gives you a better understanding of the stuff that's happening in remake and that's going to keep happening as things progress within the series. But it is not a direct like tie-in prequel. You don't have to play Reunion to know what's going on in Seven at all. And that's
Hmm.
because Seven came out as a standalone game before Crisis Core did. So is it a prequel? As in, is it the same people, the same characters, the same city, the same setting? Like, yes, but well, not even the same settings. Some of the towns you go to are different, but a lot of the same terminology, the same world, the same lore, all of it. So in that sense, yes, it is a prequel to what happened in Final Fantasy VII, which makes it a prequel to what happened in Final Fantasy VII Remake. It
Hmm.
explains Aerith, it explains Zack and Sephiroth, and you kind of get their stories, and which is really cool because if you've played Seven Remake, Zack's story is gonna come in very, very handy moving forward. So
Hmm.
it's not a direct prequel, but to me it's close enough to where I call it a prequel.
Hmm.
FF7 remake got me confused as F. I think Cloud was just drunk. What does this say? I think Cloud was just drunk and had a dream. So yes, the original Final Fantasy VII doesn't make sense until about 7/8 of the way through the game, and then it all
Hmm.
like clicks into piece like a puzzle that's magically being put together, and so it is really cool. But I'm excited about those. What games this year are you excited about? Because, we've talked about Diablo, we've talked about Street Fighter, we've talked about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and you've said you're getting Final Fantasy 16, but like the other three titles, you were like, yeah, I've never really played them, not really interested. So what else has you interested this year?
Well, Spider-Man, of course. That's one. Now I'm gonna make the chat go. Oh my gosh! It's I've got a Series X. Um, I'm yeah, exactly. Right there, RP. That's exactly. I want to see what Starfield is because I've I've never finished a Bethesda game. I'm not really. I've played Fallout 4 a little bit, and I've had numerous people tell me, play Fallout 4 or play Skyrim to get into playing. That was some of their choices. That would be a good place just to get a feel for what a Bethesda game is, and you can kind of get lost in it, and you can play however many hours you want and go around and just do whatever you want to do. Go through the story. You can do side missions. You can just explore, whatever. So I've just never got to the point where I wanted to play through a Bethesda game. But Starfield, I love space games. I love, fighting aliens and all that stuff, hence Destiny. So I've been intrigued with Starfield, wanting to know what this is. I wasn't too impressed with that first showing of it. But I like looking at a lot of the art that they put out, which that doesn't really do anything for actual gameplay or what the game's going to do. But I'll leave it right there if we do get to, if we do talk about the Xbox showcase, I'll elaborate on that a little bit there.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, let's go ahead and go into that. The showcase, right? Everybody's hyping it up. Everybody's super excited about it. There are some, realistic Xbox players out there who are like, you know what, we're just going to hide and watch and wait and see. And honestly, that's the path that I think you should take is just, let's sit back and let's we saw the PS guys get super hyped about their showcase, and for all intents and purposes, the showcase was good, but because they were so hyped, it had no chance of surviving without one of the big five, one of the other big five studios there, and not just Insomniac. So like, what? Okay, guys, Salty's back. We all got to be quiet now. No, it's
the oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
The PlayStation showcase, I think like the rest of us that, are pro PlayStation, we've either been PlayStation the whole time or, have came over to PlayStation for the first time and have been hooked ever since they came. I think a lot of us not a lot of us, I think everybody was super hype, what was it, 18 months? It had been it was close to 2 years since we'd seen the showcase from 21. And that one was lackluster until the last 8 minutes when you got the first party. This one, you can go back and look at the titles that they showed, some of them, and go, okay, all right. That one might be all right. Like the Trek, not Trek to Yomi. I was just thinking that when
Phantom Blade
earlier. Yeah, Phantom Blade Zero. That looked pretty cool. And I heard him talk about that, saying it's not it takes elements from a Souls type game. I think they might have been talking about that on Salty's podcast the other night. I can't remember. I think they were. That might have been where I heard that. But that game was pretty cool looking. Spider-Man, when I first seen it, I was like, okay, this is cool. Okay, they're moving fast. It looked cool, but by the time you got to Spidey, it was just like all the energy had been sucked out of you. Whether, like I said, I like to go back and watch people's reactions to stuff. So I watched, I was watching Salties and your all's, while it was going on. So I was in the chat with that, watching that, and I sort of was watching the actual official site, and then just had the earbud in, listening to your all's reactions. And I mean, that show, I've heard people give scores on it. My initial score afterwards was 2 out of 10. I was like, that was the biggest piece of crap I had seen in a long time. Now you can go back after that kind of wears off that initial shock, and look at some of those games, like I said, like Phantom Zero, Phantom Blade Zero, and them, and a few others, and go, okay, those are pretty good. But like I said, when you got to Spider-Man, after going through all that anticipation, and like, okay, when's Herman Hulse going to show up? When's first party? And the time just kept ticking away, ticking away. You're hearing Cat Quest and all this crap, and you're like, what the hell is this?
Hey, now, wait a second. Hang on. About Cat Quest, because here's what people don't realize. That's Cat Quest 3. Okay? So there is a market for that game. Like, it's usually sub $20, and it's just a fun little play as a cat and go around and, like, beat up things. It's literally just an action game where you play as a cat, and you're, like, the cool part about it is, like, your map as actually, like, what you're walking on. So, like, that's kind of neat. So, I'm just going to say that to say, like, they showed, if the expectation wouldn't have been so freaking high, it would have been a great showcase.
But all that being said, you hear, okay, there might be another showcase, and people are like, oh, you're a fool. There ain't gonna be another showcase. I mean, we don't know. We legitimately don't know. Did they save some of this for Keighley? Did they have deals with Keighley to show some of the stuff there? Now they're not gonna show the first party, so why wasn't some of this other stuff there? People have contemplated that. Were they holding back because of the APK deal to look better? But, we've heard that too. We've heard this was finally the end of Sean Layden's push as what his vision was. There's that word, vision. I'll use it. And now it's Jim Ryan, in recent interviews over the last year or so, talking about 100 million consoles ain't going to be enough. We need to rethink our strategy, blah, 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 and all this, So you hear all these different things being said and stuff, talk about being pulled out of context. But I'm just like, when I watched that whole show, the initial response, I was just like, that's a 2 out of 10. I was just like, that was not what I was expecting. That was not. And when we first started watching, I think everybody's expectation was, okay, we seen Jim. We're getting through second, third party. What is a lot of this stuff? Okay, people were just. I heard people saying, okay, when are we going to see Herman? They were ready. They remember 21. This is how 21 started out, but it's going to be all right. We're gonna see it. And we never did. And when Jim showed back up, it's like, uh-oh. And time was up.
Like, we don't want Jim. I'll just be honest. We don't give a rat's rip about Jim. We want Shuhei Yoshida and not Shuhei Yoshida. Dang it. No, it's Herman Hulse, but who's the head of our indie teams?
Yeah, that's Shuhei.
Is that Shuhei Yoshida?
Yeah, he used to be first party, and then he's taken over indies.
Okay, cool.
They moved him.
I always get him and Yoshi P confused on their actual names, and so that, like, it always throws me off a bit because I'm a fake gamer who knows nothing. No, it's so somebody in the chat said that it's actually it was Josh. He had said that there are already, like, statements coming out that, hey, like, what did he say? I can't see it again. But, like, basically curb your expectations. Like, don't get too excited for the showcase. For some reason, my chat is not letting me see it. But Phil is a clown of effort proportions. I agree. crap is off the deep end. I
What?
also agree.
Where you at? What are you trying to read?
I was just trying to see. My chat's a little buggy right now, so I'm just trying to
Mm.
see. He was basically saying that. Oh, that's right. Okay, thank you. He said, "Dude, what's up, Cyrus? Hey, we're gonna take a quick break here. Cyrus he was, I think, either my first follower or my second follower on here. He is actually, I talked to y'all about the guys that I played Outriders with. That's
Mm.
him. He's one of them. And I have 450 hours, and I think he has like 600 or 700 hours. So, like, anyways, thanks for
Well,
stopping by, man. I appreciate that. But Josh was saying to keep an open mind is what
mm.
the phrasing is going out right now um, for the showcase for Xbox. So he's saying that there's
Mm.
something big that's going to go down. There's something massive.
Well, yeah, and after waiting 7 years, I think it's about time for studios that you bought. And nobody planned on a pandemic. You really can't use that excuse or as an excuse anymore.
I say not
Um,
anymore.
but and create new teams. That's another word that catchphrase teams. The teams.
Yeah,
Ugh.
Josh was saying that something terrible was going to happen because they're saying to keep an open mind. Like, hey guys, the
Mhm.
crap that we're about to show you is going to suck. Like,
But the whole thing is PlayStations couldn't have been any worse
that's not true.
in our minds,
That's
and,
not true at all, sir.
but knowing how Xbox likes to fumble stuff a lot of the times, excuse me, if they come here and they don't deliver on this, I mean, you've heard people say, all it's going to take is just show, we know Starfield's going to be there. All you need to do is show Hellblade or one other game and you're going to be good. Show Hellblade, Motorsports, excuse me, and I'm trying to think of, um, anything like that and show them and it'll be a win. Um, me personally, I'm looking forward to watching the show because I want to see what they have to offer. Um, I don't ever temper my expectations for whatever I'm watching of those. I go in, want to be excited, and want to watch and see some good games and see some cool announcements. And um, I'm
What about
excited just
Fable?
to see. Yeah, that's the big one. I mean, this last week they had that tease um,
You
from
mean
the
the
marketing
glitter?
team. Yeah,
The
I bet
glitter?
his I bet his butt got handed to him by his wife once he had to clean that up.
I would have been freaking livid. That's all I could think about. So, anybody with kids, you see glitter, and automatically, like, your heart just stops because you
Hmm.
know anything that it's touched, it's on it for the rest of its life.
Hmm.
It's not going to go anywhere. Like, I wasn't looking and listening to the music. Oh, that sounds very, very Fable-esque. Are you talking about the game that's had to like switch studios and now is being worked on by a company that makes racing games? Yeah, open world sandbox racing. It's the same shit. No, we're fine. It's great.
Hmm.
It's wonderful. But that's my thing though. Is you hit on it. They've had 7 years on some of these titles. So to sit there and say, "Oh look, no CGI. Oh look, we're gonna show gameplay." Um, dear God, I hope so. Because if
Hmm.
you didn't, you suck. Like it.
I mean, he came out a couple days ago, Aaron Greenberg, and he tempered or he answered all them questions. So I mean, it's in writing on Twitter that it's either going to be in engine, um, procedurally generated in engine, or, whatever he said there. There's not going to be any just CGI stuff. There's not going to be no 12-month thing. He said no to that. There's not going to be any movie trailers. And then somebody said, "How about TV?" shows. He said there's not going to be any movie or TV trailers. Um, Pretty much. And then he came up with that one saying, the main one that he did was talking about that one of them in the chat said, talking about to keep an open mind. Usually it's temper your expectations, which we've seen Sony do that too with state of plays about what's going to be in the state of play. Some of them that I didn't care much for, some of them indie ones, which it told you exactly what to expect, what's not going to be there, and temper your expectations. So you knew what you're going to get there. But we've heard temper your expectations with Xbox, and then you really didn't get anything of what you were looking to get or hoping to see. So you hear some people saying this is make it or break it for Xbox. I mean, it could or could not. I don't think that's true, because competition's good for this. I mean, we need competition between these two behemoths at each other, even though they say they're not in, the business of messing with Sony, more or less. That he said whatever a year or two ago, Phil Spencer did. About they're more about Google and Apple and all them, the bigger corporations. That is the ones they're worried about dealing with. But I think that mainly dealt with the cloud and streaming and all that stuff was more what he was talking about back then, before it was really becoming more of a something that people talked about all the time. It was less talked about back then when he was saying that. Where now it's like it's in every podcast, it's everybody's topics is stuff like that. So it just becomes second nature in a way.
There's something about this showcase that I expect amazing things from it. I'm not even going to lie. Like, I expect to see all the games that we were supposed to see years ago. But at the same time, I'm not going to sit there and praise you for giving us the games that you were supposed to give us several years ago. Like, that's not a thing. Like, you don't get that benefit of the doubt when you've released crap after crap after crap after crap.
Yeah.
So, like...
And when you... Oh, go ahead, sorry.
Oh, I was going to say, so, like, sure, temper your expectations, or, why can't I remember that? Keep an open mind. Like, those type of things is just... Those are terrifying to me when I hear that. Like, remember PlayStation's indie state of play? It's like, temper your expectations. Nothing is going to be here that's like... We're not going to have our main studios here, da-da-da. And so when I went into that, I was like, oh, okay, cool. There is literally nothing in here that I care at all about. Like, that's fine, though. And I'm not going to lie, I still watched it to hope that they were lying, that, no, we actually have this one teaser here at the end. But like...
That's exactly it, because Sony's and the reputation, you watched it, even though your expectations were tempered, and you were told what was not going to be there, which is what you were hoping you were going to see, but you always have that in the back of your mind, like, but maybe they're going to show it just in case I'm going to watch the whole thing, just to be sure. I think that's why a lot of us do that, is we watch that, because, you want to be excited about stuff, and people with Xbox, they should have a reason to be excited, I think,
I think Here's what I think about Xbox. I think the Xbox is going to jump up in sales by about, after this showcase, if everything that we think is coming is coming. So, like, you get, Starfield, Forza, Hellblade. If those three things are coming, and they're coming within the next 9 months, so to speak, say 9 months, then you're going to see God bless, I don't know, I think they'd sell another 10 million over the next 12 months, which would be a huge number for them. And I think that would make them, I think they'd get to 50 million by next November. So probably sell about 20 million over the next year and a half. I think that alone should be able to. I think those numbers should be able to be produced if this showcase is everything it needs to be. And
But
it,
that right there, Thrifty, I don't mean to cut you off, but that right there is the mindset of all the hardcore Xbox people don't care about that anymore. When the hardcore don't care, your loyal customers that's been with you since day one don't care because they've been conditioned that even if like you're saying they get 20 million, which I think is going to happen too, they don't care. Microsoft don't care, and the fans don't care because it's Game Pass is the promotion. Game Pass is the promotion. Microsoft would much rather take that 20 million. They want new customers. They want that 20 million new customers to be in that Game Pass day one. They would rather have that than have 20 million sales on hardware. That's what they want. And they want them to have a reason to keep them there month after month. As long as we can keep you another month, that's all we care about. So I didn't mean to cut you off, but that's to me, it's just like we were saying about some of these catchphrases that we hear that we would never say before we got on a podcast, before we started listening to podcasts. These phrases were something we never used, but we've been conditioned from hearing them all the time from, hosts like you or in podcasts like your all's over there, Salties or Jez's or, wherever, the Xbox podcast. We're conditioned with this stuff. And the same way with these hardcore Xbox guys, they've been conditioned to not care about the console sales. There's still a handful of them that care about the hardware and probably are still pissed that they don't have that. And they may not even be part of Game Pass. They may be that hardcore, very small group that is hardcore physical games. I don't want none of that stupid streaming crap. Because you can see that you've got, I think the gold members, I think they're somewhere between 90 to 100 million that's been projected over the last, at least 3 years since I've been kind of getting into listening up and reading up on some of this stuff. But you only have 25, 30 million in the Game Pass. So what are the other 60 million doing? They're either just doing gold, or they don't have gold at all, and they're just playing whatever. So, but I think that's a very, very small percentage there.
Josh actually pointed out, he's actually corrected me, so I'm going to correct this now. I was mistaken. I think the Xbox that makes what I said originally more accurate. I think they're going to sell 10 million more in the next year, in the next 12 months, if their showcase is good. I was confusing my numbers. Game Pass is at 28 million. For some reason, I thought the Xbox Series have sold 28 million, so I was a little messed up there. And then he just said that 100,000 number is the live number, Xbox Live, not Xbox games with gold. So that's not games with gold is not a selling point, but Game Pass, you gotta think 28 million. That's it. And that's across Xbox, PC, phones, 28 million.
That's since 2017. I don't know what month that launched in April or whatever month it launched in April. I don't know. It might have been middle of the year. So, I mean, that's been 6 years it's been out, and 6, 7 years, whatever that is, and
That's insane to me that
But the scary part about this is for I got a Series X sitting here.
I'm sorry.
I am not the hardcore like a lot of these, but what about these that are still over there? They have their channels. They are hardcore. It's time. It's our time. Xbox is going to take over. It's our time to shine. But you hear Sati was ready to close this down. We've heard the stories of that before. Then Phil sweet talked him and came up with this plan. Blah blah blah. Satya loves subscription stuff. With all the other Microsoft stuff, he loves that. Phil seen that and go, okay, I can switch this around. However that came about. But what if it does get to a point? I've heard this mentioned many times. What if there is a number that Satya is thinking of, and he's got a timeline? You got this much time to get this number. If not, I'm done. We're out. Either I stop being the head of Microsoft, or we reach this goal that I have in my mind for this to succeed, that I counted as a success. So what does that do for? Which I guess Sony could do that too. You don't know, but you don't hear that stuff. You don't do it when you're number one like that for so many years in a row. And Nintendo are more or less number one in a way because they're battling themselves over there. And I don't know, but wouldn't that suck if that's all you've decided? PlayStation sucks. I'm never going to do that. Which a lot of them I've listened to have had a PlayStation or have one right now, whether it be a 4 or anything. They played in the early days before Xbox came out. They were Sega people. They were Nintendo people, and the Xbox came out, and I think it really did. It was a big move back then for them. I remember when the Xbox came out. I bought an Xbox One, and it was cool, but I didn't play it a ton. My sons and my nephews were over. My sons were always here, but my nephews would come over like every weekend, every other weekend, and as soon as they came in the door, it was Uncle Steve, Uncle Steve, Uncle Steve. That's my first name, Steve. They would want to go and play the Xbox downstairs. So it's like, all right. I think I told that story last time. I'm not going to get into that. But, it was cool, but it was nothing but that was a big thing. You had these things, the LAN parties and all that stuff. That was cool. And the big hype, Halo pushed that whole thing. If it wasn't for Halo, Xbox probably wouldn't have been here. That's what kept it going. That's what made it so popular. Was that what we talked about at the very beginning, Thrifty, was that one title when we talked about Tears of the Kingdom. Why did PlayStation fall out of number one in the UK for the month of May? It was the same thing with Halo back then. It made Xbox so popular, people were standing in lines for hours. You hear stories of that. People standing in line, people stand outside of GameStops waiting to get in, stand out there all night waiting just so they can get a copy of the game. Excited for this stuff. And we just don't see that stuff anymore.
No, man. I remember being out there for, it was Assassin's Creed Revelation. Mm-hmm. And it was the culmination of Ezio's story. And literally, I was at GameStop. I was there for the midnight release. There were so many folks that showed up dressed like Ezio or Altair, and man, it was so fun. I'm trying to convince GamePoint here to go ahead and do a midnight release of Final Fantasy, but they need a few more pre-orders before they can justify a release. Like opening up the store, bringing in people and stuff like that. But oh my gosh, I miss that type of stuff. But yeah, man, that doesn't happen anymore. Like, I miss that. But then again, I also have a job. So, like, staying up at a midnight release, all I'm going to do is come home and pop it in and download it and then go to bed. Like, there's not...
Yeah, when you get married and have kids, it changes everything. And that was my priority, was, my family. My kids were younger. I didn't game
Shame
a
on
lot.
you.
I played when I could, but it was nothing, it was raising the kids and doing family stuff, and that was the priority, which I think it should be. But I'm not gonna preach to people about that either. So, but
Yeah, we are in a very awkward and unique spot as PlayStation gamers. Uh, Holy crap. Deuce just showed up. Okay, so we had Cyrus in here earlier, and now we have my buddy Deuce on here. And
Brian,
yeah, Brian Simpson. Sorry, that's his actual name. Uh, In-game name is Deuce, and he's the other Outrider. And so like we've been friends. We've
heck
played
yeah.
Marvel Contest of Champions together. Like uh, Deuce and I are in a fantasy football league together, and so it's really cool that they're actually here tonight. I keep trolling them and begging them to come, so they came. So, like, guys, y'all were the ones that partially convinced me to do this. Like, it's this is y'all's fault. But I think we're in a very awkward spot as gamers because we're in a place where if PlayStation puts their logo on it or puts their branding behind it, we automatically expect amazing things from it, right? Like we have been conditioned now to not wonder what's going on or what's going on behind the curtain with PlayStation because they have so much goodwill built up with us. And it's like, whatever. And then they release that showcase and we see everything going on with Microsoft and the way they're treating their players. And then all this doubt creeps in. And like, the problem isn't that the games that they showed at the showcase were bad. The problem is that the games that they've been giving us are so much better than what they showed us at the showcase. And so,
You,
go ahead.
in a lot of them games, like you said, a lot of them games were good. Even the Cat Quest. I just mentioned Cat Quest because that was just the first thing I could think of off the top of my head. Um, but it was just the way they did it. I mean, the expectations were so high. And then when you get halfway through the show, you're thinking, okay, this is like 21. All we got to do is wait. We just got to wait for the last 10 minutes, 15. And then you got down to that, and you're like, oh crap, they said VR2. We haven't seen nothing VR2. And then you got to the last 15, and you're like, oh crap, they're doing VR2 now. How long they're going to do four? They were talking about how many games they're going to show here, and then they showed 5. And then you were down to about that 8-minute mark. And then you're like, oh, well, it was probably like 10 minutes. And then Jim pops up. And then he pops up with and a lot of people don't like that handheld. I'm going to say this. I think it looks cool as hell.
I'ma get it.
Now, whether it's Wi-Fi, I get that. But Sony is notorious for giving you something and then updating it later. Now, what if I've heard this, which I think is cool. What if that thing had an M.2 storage thing in there that you could update it later and it's on the thing? Now, before that thing come out, people's going to get it to be able to test it and be able to take it apart and tell you what everything is. So if there is an M.2 storage hidden in there, you're going to know about it. So then those plans would be exposed there, so they couldn't hide that. But I think it's cool. I mean, for me, I'm off in another room here, away from the living room. But if my wife's out there watching TV, I can go out there with that and sit there with her and watch TV and play a game, there by her out there. So, it's something about that family thing and, the closeness, being together, sharing time together, but you can still do something like that at the same time. A lot of people don't like that, and I'm sure they think of that, but I'm like, I think it's cool. I would buy it. Like you said, I'll buy it. And them earbuds, oh yeah. I'll have to look at the earbuds more, but if I can use my Samsung earbuds to hook up to it and not have to buy the PlayStation earbuds, I'll just use my Samsung ones. But Sony likes to do that sometimes to make
Oh,
you
like
buy
if they
hardware
don't
just
have if it doesn't use a dongle system, then maybe
to.
maybe they open it up
Because
to.
if it had a dongle, I think they would have showed it. Like a lot of these aftermarket ones that you see, yeah, it's got the USB receiver and the dongle that you plug into the thing to receive it. But I didn't see anything with that. That's just true Bluetooth. So, and if that's the case, I'd use them on my PS5 too, my earbuds.
Yeah, I want
I
to find
just,
out more specs on them because I want to see if they have a mic built into them.
mhm.
Because if they do, that would be so much more comfortable than wearing a big old headset.
But I said before that the earbuds, I was looking to get them too because it did say that I think it was compatible, or I don't know if it had the features. There's not much information out there. I can't remember what they said, but it was something about the 3D audio, just like the Pulse headset. That I think it has some of the features, or maybe it has all the features. I'm not sure on that. Just go back and read that. But yeah, I'm excited about both of them personally. Um, I'm looking to. It depends on the price, though. Um, if the price is astronomical, 'cause Sony likes to, be higher end stuff. They like to raise a little bit higher price on some stuff. But hopefully they'll be competitive with like the other ones that are out there, and be a reasonable price. You know, I'm thinking like 300 or something tops. I
Whew,
wouldn't want it to be.
God, no.
I wouldn't. No, I said tops. I wouldn't want it to be 350 or anything like that. I'm like, I think they're good at marketing. I don't think they're going to put it that close to their PS4 or the PS4 to their all digital PS5, that 400, and go, well, for $50 more. If they did 350, $50 more, they can just get a PS5.
Nah, dude,
So
they're gonna no. The Pulse headset is
they're
only $100.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
no. Well, I jumped back to the Q Lite on that part there.
oh, I'm sorry. I completely
Not
thought
the
you were still
earbuds.
talking about the earbuds. My
No,
bad.
no,
My
no,
bad, dude. Okay. Whew. That makes sense. Yeah,
no.
I think they're gonna have to
My
go
bad. I
sub
didn't.
300, but 180 is my sweet spot.
Mm,
170 is better. 150 would make me buy it day one.
I've heard people say 150, 200. I think is a pretty reasonable middle ground. I've heard 250, 300. I think 300's the high. I don't know. I don't think it'll get to 300, but I hope not. But anyway, I didn't mean to cut you off again.
No, you're fine. You're fine. This is a conversation. This is not a dictatorship. Um, so we've talked about, let's see, have we hit everything? Yes, we have.
Uh, yep.
We have hit everything, and we did it in just about 2 hours. So Josh Ayers, or is it Ayers or Ayers? Like Ayers or Ayers? Anyways, I always just call you Josh. My bad. Sorry, I just had a little bit of the loving adult nectar. So, um, I think it's pronounced Ayers. Okay, cool. Um, the showcase, the games coming out, the um, Capcom announced that they're doing a showcase on the 12th. Uh, PlayStation, I think, is going to do another one. I would suspect they do another one, or at least have a
Mm,
couple other announcements. And at which case, I will yell and scream as to why they didn't use them at their show unless they were already in a contractual agreement. Like, I don't know. I don't know what deals have been worked out between
mm,
studios and Summer Games Fest and Jeff Keighley and all that, but we are still getting fed really well as gamers and as PlayStation gamers. we are getting fed from so many different angles across so many different things. Like, if you like RPGs, cool. We're getting some really cool old school ones that are coming back, or ones that are like coming over here for the first time. We're getting. We just got Diablo. We're getting a ton of good third party stuff. We're getting fighting games from our childhoods. Like, we are eating very, very well. So, yes, I don't know what's coming in 2024. But I don't think it really freaking matters, because I'm in 2023 and I'm trying to beat games that I've had since 2012. Like,
Oh yeah.
there's
I,
not any reason to have a negative attitude right now, because we have games. Like, it's not even the whole, well, yeah, you can play the backlog on the Xbox 360. No, 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 no. I have games that have come out within the last 12 months that I still haven't been able to buy, beat, or play. So, no.
oh yeah.
And so, go ahead.
I was just looking at the paper here. I was writing down some of them titles, that we thought, might show up like at Summer Game Fest or something. Death Stranding 2. I've only played, I think, maybe 30 minutes of after the opening cinematics, 30 minutes of Death Stranding 1. And that is a beautiful looking game and stuff. And just the opening thing there when you first encounter that, I don't even know what they're called. What is the black tar, whatever, creatures that are invisible type of things in Death Stranding that you encounter? Like, you encounter it right there at the very beginning.
Oh, I didn't. I've never played Death Stranding.
But I mean, just what you. Well, I won't say anymore, but just that opening part right there. It was. I mean, it kind of like took me back to. And I haven't really played Kojima games a lot, so that was like my first really experience in that. But just that opening part there kind of made me think of like Last of Us, just the feeling of Last of Us or a God of War, that story, the deep story type of stuff. So I can see why people like these Death Stranding games, and the stuff I've seen of Death Stranding 2 looks pretty cool. I'm lost. I don't know what's going on, but I would like to get into playing that. But like you say, there's so many games that I haven't even started yet or need to finish, and it's just need to pick one and run through it and then go to the next one.
So we actually missed a topic tonight, and it's one of the topics that was actually that was going to be in my title. But so PlayStation came out and said that cloud gaming has a lot of technical difficulties, and I agree, but like, shut up. Like, I don't know if you meant to post that or if it meant to come out, but like, shut up. The CMA just blocked the ABK deal because of cloud gaming. And now you're saying that there's a ton of technical difficulties, it's way far out. Like, just shut your mouth. Like, did you see that story?
Yeah, I didn't read it, but I heard about it and stuff. And was that the one you're talking about, like Push Square? I don't know if Jim Ryan was talking with Push Square, or if just Push Square talked about whoever he was talking to. But I wrote down just a little blip from that Jim Ryan says. I don't know if he was talking to Push Square or some other outlet, and they were reporting on it. But it says, talking about. I'm trying to figure out where I wrote this at. Quite aggressive plans. This talking about Jim Ryan, talking about in the next coming months, he says quite aggressive plans to accelerate our initiatives in the cloud space over the near or the next couple months, and that was as of May 24th, 23, is when he was speaking to somebody here just recently. And that was, well, I guess that was the day of the showcase, is when he said that.
But there's a lot of difficulties. Like,
So, yeah, I don't know. I just hope that it's not true, that all of the good games and all of the stuff that has been good with PlayStation, which PlayStation's been good for 35 years has been around, so I'm not worried about any of that. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not worried about a showcase that I didn't care for particularly. It doesn't sway my decision or anything on where I am in PlayStation and the future I have. I ain't going nowhere just because of a showcase. But even plans like this, we just hope that it's not like they say. Hopefully, it's not the end of the Sean Layden era finally coming to an end, and now we're starting to see what I've heard some people say is now we're starting to see the true things of a businessman that's not a gamer, that just runs the company, of his plans for what PlayStation is going to be. So I don't know what your thoughts are on that. I'm hoping that it's not, because PlayStation as a whole, it's not just one person making the decisions. And I think they do listen to the community. They don't come out on Twitter each day and give high fives to everybody and say they're pretty tight-lipped. But I think, just like Jim Ryan said in the 2020 showcase, we're going to let the games do our talking. Just with that, I think they listen to the community and don't have to respond, but create what the community is saying. They create what they know is going to make them money. What's going to make them money is what the community is saying is, we want great games. We want great hardware. So they go out and do that. They go out and make PSVR 2s. They make games with 30 games at launch for that. That's going to be in the first, what is that, the first year of the PSVR 2, I think they said, was going to have 30 games. Not all at launch, but in the first fiscal year of that or whatever. So that's kind of my thoughts on that and stuff.
Yeah, and the cloud gaming thing is, I just wish they would have kept their mouth shut. Like, I understand that, the Sony CEO comes out and he says, hey, we have this problem, but there's a lot of technical difficulties with cloud gaming or whatnot. And then, Jim comes out and says, yeah, we're really trying to get into the cloud gaming space. Yeah, both of those can be true, right? Like, Jim could be saying, yes, we're trying to get into the cloud gaming space. And then the Sony CEO comes out and says, yeah, there's technical difficulties in cloud. Like, yes, both of those can be true. And I just wish they would have kept their mouth shut and waited for the ABK deal to be finally dead and gone or passed. I don't care which one. Just wait for that to go through before you start talking about cloud gaming. Just leave it alone. Look at it, wave at it, say hi, cloud gaming, and then just walk away. Like, it's one of those things that I would have said nothing about it. But, you also mentioned something about, Jim not really being a gamer. But on the other side, we've seen a guy who says he's a gamer, and the guy's a freaking moron. Like, at some level, you have to be able to know how to run a business. But
I agree with that. I mean, who would you rather have? Would you rather have somebody that is top tier on knowing how to run the business? He doesn't have to know how to game. Now, when I said that, I didn't mean it's a bad thing. It's a bad thing for PlayStation because Jim Ryan doesn't care about playing games or know the ins and outs of it. But yeah, like I think Josh said there in the chat, he said, Jim may not be Jim may not be a gamer, but his team is. The people under
Yeah.
him know about it. They know the ins and outs. They know what people want. They're listening, and they know how to achieve a goal. They've got a vision. Here's the end point. This is what we want, and this is where we want to be when we get to that point. And this is the steps we need to take to get to that point. And I think too many times Microsoft fails with that. And it hurts me all the times because I'll listen to some of these Xbox ones, and it hurts me to listen to them sometimes of, man, they're like, they've got that fighting spirit. They're like, no, they're good. PlayStation sucks. They ain't doing anything right. Xbox is making all this money. Well, no, Xbox may be making some money, but Microsoft's the one making the money. It's not Xbox, and then you hear, no, it's the Xbox division that's making money.
I mean, every company needs a good tax
okay.
write-off. I'm just going to say that. Every company needs that business venture that loses them money to look better on their taxes. Mm-hmm. It's just a fact. But, so, cloud gaming, I don't really care about. I think it'll be cool if it comes. But as far as I feel like right now, I feel like all cloud gaming feels very mobile gaming market right now. And so, for that reason, I'm out on cloud gaming just right now. But
I think it is the way of the future, but it's many years out before it's like tried and true.
Do you think we'll get one more console generation before everything becomes handheld cloud?
But the way technology escalates from generation to generation or year to year even, you don't know. I mean the stuff. I mean, now that there are all the talks of AI and all that stuff, I mean, you just don't know. But I think we may get 5 more generations before we see anything with this. I mean, you don't know. But I would say, the next generation, there ain't no.
Yeah, and you know what, Josh, and Josh is in the chat just like lighting us up on this, like correcting us and letting us like give us some clarification to some of the things that we've said. And yes, the CEO wasn't talking exclusively about gaming, but I'll be honest, when it comes to the cloud market, that's really all I give a rat's ass about. So it's because I do play my movies from what I guess you can consider a cloud. Because I play them through like the Vudu app, where when I buy a disc, I always get a digital copy. But I mean, I don't even know if that's considered cloud or not. That's how bad cloud is. I don't really know what it does, where it lives, how it acts. I just know that if something's in the cloud, I can access it as long as I've paid for it once. Josh said, and that's all you should care about. Who cares about the cloud on the car they are making? Well, I mean, I'm sure if they're in that market, they care about it. But for me, it's just gaming. That's it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't particularly care for the cloud. I've tried a few
right,
times,
but I think what Josh is saying is like if you work in the automotive industry, then cloud might be something kind of cool for you to be able to better like market to your people or market to your clients or stuff like that. Integrate them more into that quote unquote ecosystem. Since I know you just love that word, integrate them into that ecosystem and make them more part of the quote unquote, oh god, this is bad, the quote unquote family of automotive owners. So now we can all be one happy family. Listen, when my car payment's due, I want somebody in my extended family to go ahead and pay that joker for me, since we're all family. That's
yeah.
Sorry, I hate places that talk about that. Well, we're just such a family up here. No, you're not. No, shut up. But no, man, I think that covers everything for tonight. Is there anything that you wanted to talk about that we didn't?
Uh, well, I did have one thing, just real quick,
Sure.
because I do need to get to bed here. I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, 4:30. So I watched a video today that Mystic, Mystic, PlayStation guy that has all the videos out that puts out on YouTube. I don't know if you watch him.
Who?
Mystic.
Oh, dude, I've watched a little bit of his stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he was. I was looking at the Edge controllers because I don't have the PlayStation Edge, Pro, the Pro controller. But I was looking at him reviewing it, and they got to the point where I'd heard before that you were able to take the whole module out for the, if your stick gets wore out or it breaks or you get stick drift or something. But it's cool because you can take that module out, and he showed how you did it. You got a button on the back, or you got to push in there a slot that you push in there, and it releases a plate on the front that pops loose. And you pull that plate off, and it's got a lever on the left or the right, just a lever for each one, and that module just sits in there, and it just sort of clicks in place. And that lever, you pull it down, and it just sort of pushes in there and locks it in place. But you just lift it up, and it disengages it, and you can just unclick and pull that module out. And he said that the modules, I figured they were going to be expensive, but he said they're $20, and you just pop out that one if it's bad or it's wore or it's drifting bad, and put a new one in, and you just lock it back in place, put the cover, snap the cover back on, and you're done, and your controller's brand new again right there with that. So I thought that was a really cool design as far as the Pro controller. The battery life, I think, is the worst thing on it, that it's still about like these are. It's 4 to 6 hours. I think it was. If you're doing heavy gaming, it's like 4 hours. If it's not, it's more around 6, which is about what I'm getting out of just my normal controller.
I don't ever
But
play 6 hours at a time anymore.
yeah, I have on the weekend or something with the Horizon or something. If I'm playing that,
I'm actually really excited because Monday the 3rd, I'm coming off an on-call week, so I'll be off on Monday, and then we're off on the 4th. But like, my wife is taking the kids to visit their aunt and uncle, and
woohoo!
so like, I'll be home all day Monday and most of the day Tuesday, like by myself. And like, and Saturday and Sunday, but I'll be on call those days, and it's
Mm-hmm.
100 degrees in the state I live in, and I work in HVAC,
Mm-hmm.
so I'll be busy those days. But
Mm-hmm.
like, we've it's gonna be super nice because I have a few games that I've been eyeballing, but they're games that you have to put a ton of time into in order to get an enjoyable session out of.
Mm-hmm.
There's some games you can hop in, like Victor Vron is one I did a review on. You can hop into that game, play for an hour or two, and just be fully satisfied as a gamer. It's super cool. It's isometric, so you probably wouldn't like it, but like, it's super, super cool. But there's other games like the RPGs that I like to play that, man, 2 hours and you're just getting like back into it. You're just getting back into the lore, the story, the combat, and everything. So you have to play at least 3 hours in order to feel like you've
Mm-hmm.
actually done something. So I'm actually really excited about that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, I appreciate you coming on tonight. It's been
Yeah, no problem.
awesome.
Thanks for having me.
It was a very short notice. I realized that I today creeped up on me, and I kept putting it off because this was actually supposed to be a night that Church Keys was on, and so
Mm-hmm.
that's why I just kind of just didn't even think about it. And then I was like, oh crap, I have my show tonight. Dang it. And so I messaged like 3 people, and one was like, man, I can't do this week, but I can do next. And then you actually messaged back, and I was like, sweet. So,
Mm-hmm.
because if I didn't have somebody else here, this show would have taken about an hour. So,
Oh
anyways, man,
yeah.
I appreciate you stopping by.
Yeah.
FF16 all day. Yes, yes, yes. Um, if you pay a PS4, you get 10 to 12. Yeah, I'm guessing you're talking about Final Fantasy. But yes, yeah, Rip Church, man. That's one of the sucky things, but that's because I was looking at my notes and I was like, man, I thought I had somebody for tonight. Why? Nobody's reached out, nobody said nothing, and it was because it was church, and I was like, well, damn, yeah, that makes sense. That's and so I'm better now. Thanks, chat. I'm better now, and I was really messed up when it first happened, but he's not in pain anymore, so I'm totally happy. But Toolman, thanks for coming on tonight, man. Where can we find
Yeah,
you?
no problem. Yeah, thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, you can find me on PlayStation, on Xbox too. Not that much, but yeah,
Is it
that's
Toolman
about it.
55? Is it
hmm
okay?
Yeah,
So it's all the same.
yeah, on Xbox, there's just no space on the 55 after the M, and the 55's all together, and there's an X at the end.
Gotcha, gotcha.
But
Hopefully you'll sell that thing
yeah,
before too long, and it won't matter. No, I'm just kidding, man. I'm not that kind of console guy. Um, guys, you can also
but
find him on Twitter at Toolman-55. Does it have a
hmm
dash?
yeah, underscore. Yeah.
Underscore. Okay.
I mean that's the at, but the regular one's just like on the screen here. Yeah,
Okay. Cool. I was
or in
like,
the chat.
I knew it was something different. It's real weird when you get into like, you know, Thrashes has nothing to do with King Thrash at all on Twitter.
hmm
Nothing. And so I'm sitting here
hmm
going, all right.
Yeah,
But
do what you do.
yeah,
Or
it's like I think it's Do What You Do 6, and I think that's because the first 5 got like suspended.
mm,
That's just my guess. Or it's Do What You Do and cover the 6. I don't know. But guys,
mm,
I appreciate everybody who showed up tonight. Hit that like button on the way out. Let's go ahead and get this thing some comments after the video. And as always, guys, as always, there's so many sales going on right now. It's days of play, so stay thrifty.